It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara rolls away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat. A miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Good morning, welcome to another episode of the Sprint Lane. It's the live show, the highlight of our week. Jess and Freddie, welcome.
Hi Paul, hi Fred.
Hello,
great
Jess
to be
and
back.
Paul. Yeah, another Tuesday rolls around.
This is cosy, isn't it? We're in the Winners' Lounge at Club Menangle. We were last week too, but we've rearranged the configuration. We've flipped it round, so if you're watching on the live stream, you see a different look. We've got these beautifully framed pictures of some of the champions of our sport who've done such amazing things here on this very track. I've got Bruce Christison from Club Menangle, the CEO, here right next to us as well. So, yeah, this is different, guys.
It is a nice setup. We keep surprising each week with a different background.
Great history behind us too. All Miracle Mile winners from yesteryear, and good to reflect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, Bruce, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. Wonderful that we can, I guess, get together at a time like this, because this is, in many people's eyes, the highlight of the racing calendar, but particularly here at Club Menangle.
Without doubt, it's our highlight. We've obviously got a big year ahead of us as well. The Tab Eureka for the first time later this year, so it's a huge year. But this is our every year race. This is the one we look forward to.
Flagship event.
100%, Fred. It's talking to a lot of the participants I know at the Harness Racing New South Wales Awards, which doubled up as the barrier draw event on Sunday. Many of the participants saying the same thing, that this is the top of their list of the ones they want to win. So, and certainly from the club's point of view, it's the top of our list.
How's your week been, Jess?
Yeah, it's been very good, very busy, as you can expect, but very good.
Oh.
It's starting to feel a bit like Christmas week, isn't it, with the Miracle Mile right on our doorstep.
And you, Freddie?
Yeah, same for me, but I'm back to normality next after the Miracle Mile as from next week, but just the move and all that sort of stuff. But what a week it promises to be. And you're right, it is like Christmas, isn't it? Like that feel. And I know what's going to happen. We'll get to 11:05 or 11:10 on Saturday, and it'll be like, when you have your Christmas lunch, you've opened your presents, you've had Christmas lunch, and you get to 3:00 on Christmas Day and you think, now I just want to
exhale.
Yeah. That's what it's going to be like at about 11:10 for so many people.
All right, well, let's get into it, eh? Hey, Bruce, so tell us, obviously this is a 3-week carnival, which we know has the Newcastle Mile as part of it, but the centrepiece of it does revolve around what happens here at Club Menangle. How long is that process? Is it just an ongoing? I guess the year probably overlaps itself.
Yeah, it does, and it starts late last year with the preparations, and Jess is a key part of our marketing team, and the marketing team is sort of organising things that far out. Hospitality plans are being put in place, those sorts of things. Then, of course, you fast forward through to a couple of weeks before the, I suppose, as you say, we would say the start of the carnival with the Newcastle Mile. But, of course, we're having the qualification races for the Chariots of Fire and those sorts of events starting. And that's when things, I suppose, from a racing point of view, start to get serious. And so to the preparations at the actual track itself get serious then. So, whilst we call it a 3-week carnival of racing, in terms of preparation, it's actually quite a lot longer than that.
Yeah. Jess, hey, what a great opportunity for you, eh? You got the boss right here. I made sure he didn't stand next to you. You can put him under the pump about anything now.
Anything. No, it's been a very
That
big
pay rise you were talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, perfect time right now to pitch up for it. But no, it's been a very big few months for the club. But Saturday night was probably where all eyes really were on Club Menangle, with the invitations being issued and the wild cards being selected. Just how hard was it for the board of directors to make that decision?
So I think in the end it probably wasn't too difficult. Throughout the night it was certainly interesting, and whilst ultimately it's the directors who endorse what happens, David Watson, as our racing manager, obviously plays a major part in the recommendations that get sort of put forward to the board. And I know he was a little concerned with how things were tracking throughout the night, and I think was very relieved with the run of Braveview Kelly in the Queen Elizabeth second, because I think most people would acknowledge that probably made it a fairly easy decision in the end. But it was more the nerves, I think, getting to sort of that point. So
history has always shown where a mare comes out and runs a cracking race in the Old Ladyship Mile or the Queen Elizabeth II, they're generally going to go into the Miracle Mile field. I was very confident that only after we saw what she did. I did tweet out, whoever wins the QE2, if they run a sub 150, they're nearly going to come into calculations. And Braveview Kelly, what a performance that was.
Well, we said on the show on Sunday when we had Bono on the sprint lane when we did an episode from the Industry Awards, and we said, in a way, a horse like Bondi Lockdown probably ran himself out of the Miracle Mile. You know, like if that was quick enough, Bondi Lockdown, it felt like Bondi Lockdown probably had a hoof in the door if it went quick enough by running third, but it went so slow, you know, in that middle, those middle two sections.
59.8 or whatever it was, 59.5 middle half. You don't get that in a race of that calibre. You just don't get it. You don't get it. Sometimes you don't even get that in trials here.
Just left the door ajar.
And it just meant someone was... you're right. Spot
on. I joked to Clint Bentley as he went past for the all clear. I thought you might have had to find him for that quarter because it took us by surprise. We certainly didn't expect to see a time like that in a race like that, and effectively what it did is it really meant that only the first two in that heat were really going to have a chance to go through. Really,
mathematically, nothing could get past them. Bruce,
like you compared the two third places in the sprints, and you had a 3.5 second difference between the two third place getters. You really couldn't justify putting Bondi Lockdown in under that situation.
Well, Jack Traynor said it on stage at the awards, didn't he?
He said
Jack Callaghan should be put in jail for stealing those sectionals. Look, I think I think they got it right. And we had Andrew Giorgio on the show yesterday, and we went through the tab markets. As we said, we did a 45-minute show, and out of the 8 starters, and then obviously we talked about the 2 emergencies as well, we poured more time into Captain Ravishing than any other horse. And that's the reality of it. Now, that horse is just a talking point. Now, performances, the horse is in on performance and merit, no doubt. You know, it ran a sub 150 time in the Chariot, so that stands alone. That's fine. But the conversation that this horse generates and the publicity and all the banter and everything that goes around it is worth a lot as well. Going into this race.
Had to be there because the publicity he generates. And he was not only capturing the imagination of harness fans, when he was racing, when he first came back and was beating up fields in Melbourne, he was capturing the imagination of galloping punters and non-harness people. So just from that perspective, I think he had to be there. He's got a real tough assignment with the barrier, and I'll go into detail about the barrier draw a bit later, but he had to be there. And obviously on merit, and Braveview Kelly on merit.
Yeah. Bruce, as an over, just to, I guess, one of the things we wanted to talk to you about was what this means to how this club sustains itself over a year. This carnival's so important for the sustainability of this whole club over a 12-month period, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely from a sustainability point of view, but it also becomes so important as to the way we market ourselves. So to have the opportunity to have the best horses here, we need to basically cash in on that and if we want to continue this battle for relevance in the marketplace, you have to take every opportunity when you get these best horses here at the track. And it's why it's so important that we get the balance right in selecting the field between reputation, and obviously we've come from an era where it was purely invitation and horses would rest on their previous history in terms of performance to just, I suppose, bank on an invite. Now it's important that we actually get the horses racing here. To help select that field. So we need that balance to balance the performance here during the carnival with the reputation, and that's why those couple of discretionary spots or wild cards are really important. So we do want to get the best field, but we also do need to reward the performances in those lead up races that are here. So we want them here for the Miracle Mile, we want them here for the carnival, and we do need to showcase them when we get them here. And as you say, the money you make through the carnival, of course, is vital, but so too is the to establish the reputation of the sport. And of course, the Eureka down the track in September will give us another great opportunity to do that. And again, with significant marketing opportunities for that as well. So that's what's, I think, really important. We've said a lot here at the club. We've spent a lot of time building what we've got here, the move obviously from Harold Park and to establish this track and facilities, to establish the Menangle Country Club just outside the racing precinct. We've built all these things. We now need to market them. And of course, we've had COVID strike in between that time, which has slowed up the opportunities there. But now that people are sort of accepting where that's at, we now need to really move, and we need to market our venue and our sport.
So I can just say a couple of things on that. Obviously, post-COVID, we'd hope for a big crowd this Saturday night, wouldn't we?
We certainly would. And it's the change in the football season isn't ideal.
Yeah.
I have to say that we had placed the Miracle Mile in this particular week a few years back. We wanted continuity. It had bounced around a bit in over a number of years, and we wanted people to know that the Miracle Mile would be the first week of March. That was something we spoke a lot about at the time. But of course, that was at a time where the football was starting a week later, and it was a great week for us because no trial games, so we had sort of clear air from the football. But of course, with the change in their competition and an extra team, they've moved a week forward. So we are now in competition with the start of the NRL season, which isn't ideal.
Yep.
We don't have any games around us on Saturday night, although there is games in Sydney and obviously a lot of attention. So that's not an ideal thing, but we are still very confident that, particularly from the local area, we'll get significant support. The ticket sales are strong into the corporate areas; they always are. Into those areas, it's what will make the night is the general public crowd that we get through the gates.
There's a buzz, isn't there, guys? I mean, even walking in here today, and obviously we're racing slightly earlier today with the 10-race card, which we'll get into later, but it means that because of everything else that's going on around the carnival, trials are on earlier, we walk in. We never walk in and see the atmosphere like we even got today on a Tuesday morning. There's a buzz about this event.
There really is a buzz, and it feels like it's been like that for the past few weeks, especially with the visiting trainers from New Zealand, WA and Victoria, Queensland. It's been really exciting, and I tell you what, this weekend, bring it on.
Bruce, one of the things, I call it the unofficial start of the carnival, Hondo Grattan Night. I know that's 5 weeks out from Miracle Mile, but effectively that it is the unofficial start of the carnival. Is there any thought? Has there ever been any thought given to elongate and incorporate that, or it's just not a consideration?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. We've actually had we've got a strategic planning session coming up not long after the carnival finishes, actually. And from a racing point of view, the way we showcase feature racing is something that certainly will be a part of that. And there's discussions both ways on that as to, do you elongate it, or do you actually look at, I suppose, how we used to have it, where these races had their own place within a carnival throughout the year. It is difficult pulling crowds back to back to back.
Yep.
Your racing enthusiast will come for those races, but to get the general support of, say, the local area, when they know the big event's coming,
yes,
it's hard to get them to come to those leading weeks. So that's probably the argument against elongating the carnival, even though there's some fantastic racing, as you said, sort of heading into the carnival. So it is an interesting discussion, and it's one where I think it's important. We've got a lot of members of our team, like Jess and David Watson, who come from a racing background through their families. But then we also have others in the team who experts in their roles, but not necessarily from a racing background. And I think it's an area where it's really important to engage with both those people, because the people who don't come from a racing background, to get their ideas on what would appeal to them and what would encourage them to come along is really important to understand that. Yeah. In a world of social media where it so much dominates, what we do know is you need to appeal to people in a way that appeals to them. So, for example, if it's a non-racing person in our local area, looking at pictures of horses racing and things isn't going to grab their attention.
What will grab
so,
them,
so we've seen recently here the night markets have such great success and bringing people to our track. And when they do, they engage with the racing, which is fantastic. They say that they love the mini trots. Like the families that come along to to those markets just love the mini trots. And,
get into it, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. And so engaging, they'll be here for a couple of hours. So they go to the markets to get their food, but then they're out trackside watching, and that's fantastic. And it's a good example of how using a non-racing appeal to get people to come to racing. And so when we market these events, we really do need to listen to those non-racing people as well to see what would appeal to you and get you
That's
along.
our growth corridor, isn't it? Those people. So
for sure.
On the mini trots, hey, I reckon the mini trotters get a louder cheer than the big guns when there's a battle ongoing. Yeah,
I think they do, and Freddie encourages.
We've got the mini Miracle Miles this week as well. So
what a for those kids.
Yeah.
And we've got people in the Miracle Mile who've won the mini trot Miracle Mile.
Absolutely, yeah.
So hey, there's a progression plan in place.
I think Cam Hart was one
that we spoke to him about.
Jumps to mind. Yeah.
All right, Brish, you're not with us long. Let's get into some racing. Hey, Honolulu Bay. Wow, favourite for the Miracle Mile for a reason, because that's back-to-back outstanding victories, Fred. So a win in the sprints and coming off that very impressive win in the Hunter Cup.
Well, the way he did it as well. There was speed on in that qualifier, and he rounded them up very quickly, deepest on the turn. And the horse that he beat is no slouch, and was trying to make all. And they got home. They got home in quick time, 27.6. They went a 55 back half, but they'd gone a 26.4 burn early. And Honolulu Bay, he was able to run away by a couple of metres. Favourite justifiably, and in early prognostications, I'm sort of leaning towards Honolulu Bay as my on-top tip.
It's pretty good. What about, we've talked a little bit about the turtle crawl that Spirit of St. Louis put on, but it was a great tactic. You only got to win to get a spot in the race, Jess.
That's exactly right. It was a masterful drive, I thought, from Jack Callaghan. As soon as he got to the front there, he controlled it all his way, and he gave them no opportunity to even put themselves into it. So really, nothing should have been able to run past Spirit of St. Louis on those times, and they didn't. So well done to Jack.
Yep. So so Spirit of St. Louis beat Hurricane Harley. So there's two spots. I'm not sure if you talked about the other horse just then, Fred. I'm not sure if we said Expensive Ego. So there's 4 spots. No Bondi lockdown, as we said. We moved into the QE2 mile. Bravey Kelly was just outstanding. Now, this is a horse that Cameron Hart is aligned with going back sort of 2 months or so ago. Yep. He made the call. He said it the other day at the awards. He said, I got in touch with Jack Trainer and said, hey, don't forget me. If this becomes available, I want the chair. He got the drive. He's got it into a Miracle Mile. Can't do much more than that.
We flagged her, October last year in this very podcast that she was going to be a force in the carnival. And boy, she's found her way into a Miracle Mile. But it was the way she did it.
Yeah,
it was the way she did it. She was 3
arrogant.
deep for 800 metres.
Yeah.
3 deep for 800 metres.
Yep.
And look, the horse that tried to run her down is no slouch. Amore Vida ran it at 3 metres. But just what she did, she's broken the 150, and not just, she broke it well. I thought that was an outstanding performance by her, and she's not out of place. Test for her against the boys, no doubt about that, but she is not out of place in that race. She was brilliant.
Absolutely. Not a surprising Quinella for me. I'm a big rap on Amore Vida, but Bravey Kelly was very good. So, Bruce, that gave us our field because we already had, obviously, we had Catch a Wave. You guys then had 2 positions to come up with. Bravey Kelly was one of them. You came up with Captain Ravishing as well, and it must have. You've already said it was a bit of a relief then to see Bravey Kelly come out and deliver like that.
Yeah, well, I think the way the sprints panned out. If anybody was questioning Captain Ravishing being, and then I think you guys have already spoken here today about its merits for being there with its record leading into our carnival. But if there was any doubt, I think the sprints took care of that. It was going to take something out of the ordinary for it to not be selected. So the way they panned out, I think we can pretty safely say we had 7 runners by the time the sprints were finished, and it was just a matter of that last place. And as I say, we were, I suppose, looking for something special, and fortunately, we got that with Bravey Kelly. So
Well, the other spot in the field is Mac Dan, obviously the first qualifier by winning the Newcastle Mile. When Andrew Giorgio was on the Sprint Lane podcast yesterday that we did, he said the money's only come for one horse, and it's Mac Dan.
Yeah.
What we tried to, because Andrew walked in and he said, before we started, he said, I've got a question for you. It was Amanda Rando and I, and he said, who leads? And we actually sat there and debated that for a little bit and ended up becoming the narrative that we talked through a bit in the show. But we probably landed on MacDan. There's not an obvious leader there on the inside gate. So we did land on MacDan, and we wonder whether that's why the money's come for MacDan. And he said it's 21s into 12s.
Yep.
So
well, he was $12 before the barrier draw. After the barrier draw, he blew out to 21, and he's back in. I've done some stats on the barrier draws. So the first Miracle Mile was run here in 2009. Monkey King won that race. So there's been 13 editions since 2009. So the top three, that's 39 placings, so to speak. Of the 39 holes to fill, Spankham won from barrier 6, and there's been just 7 horses place in a Miracle Mile from 6, 7 or 8.
Wow.
So barriers 6, 7 and 8 are kind of a poison chalice in a way. As I said, Spankham won it from 6, and there have been 7 other horses to fill a placing in a Miracle Mile from barriers 6, 7, 8. So it goes to show you, what's that, my quick maths, that's about 32 or 31 of the other placings have come from 5 in. So that's something to consider when you get horses like Honolulu Bay, Catch Away, Braveview Kelly, and of course, all things being equal, Spirit of St. Louis will come out of barrier 1 if the emergency doesn't get a start. Spirit of Lewis, he's drawn to get a real suck run behind something. I agree MacDan will probably come out and look for the lead. Does Braveview Kelly press forward? But Spirit of St. Louis wouldn't shock me to see him. The other stat I wanted to mention, the Chariots winner in 2016 won the Miracle Mile, and then the last 6 runnings of the Chariots, the winner has been a place getter in a Miracle Mile. So it's a good race. So Catch a Wave, don't underestimate Catch a Wave on that stat.
And rest it up, and
and
maybe the rest is part of the thinking on MacDan as well. What we found interesting about MacDan is when MacDan won the Newcastle Mile last year, got in front and was the pace setter. This year, different style again. Obviously a different gate as well, went wide. Mark Pitt took the drive this year. Nathan Jack took the drive last year. We believe Nathan Jack's got the drive this year. So does the driver and the style and the pattern, Nathan Jack has got to go out and get him style. Does that lead to MacDan being the leader? With nothing else obvious, taking up that seat. Now, what I found interesting about your stats there, Freddie, is we are talking about the horse they're backing, the glamour horse, Captain Ravishing, and the McCarthy Factor, Expensive Ego. They're the 3 that you're saying stats say can't win.
Stats say there's been one winner in 13 from barriers 6, 7 or 8 and only 7 place getters from 6, 7 or 8. Yep. So you go on that basis, they're going to have to be at the top of their game to be in the finish. They were outstanding horses. MacDan, Captain Ravishing, Expensive Ego.
Yep.
There's no doubt. And I'm not trying to put the kibosh on them. I actually quite like MacDan in my top 4. I'm sort of leaning down the path of leaving Captain Ravishing out of my top 4. But statistically, the way the races have been won, barriers 1 to 5 are the go.
Well, I'm just noticing Jess has got the market in front of us. Captain Ravishing has come in a little bit there. It was $5 yesterday into $4.50 as we record this, and it's Tuesday morning. So there has obviously been a little bit of sentiment there for as we said, it's the horse everyone's talking about. Amanda Rando's got a. She's had a little bit to do with Captain Ravishing through the ownership and her family. She's a strong believer that Captain Ravishing has to go back and then save up for that one long burst. Andrew yesterday was saying he thinks that's the horse that's got 500 metre plus as one long straight point-to-point burst. If there's a track that caters to that, it's Menangle.
Sure.
Counter that with Captain Ravishing's had 3 starts here and hasn't won a race. One of the few horses in the field that has never won a race here.
I think Honolulu Bay's a high-speed horse too that's got a good turn of foot at the back end as well. Don't forget, Captain Ravishing, he was favourite pre-barrier draw, got out to around $4.50 to $5. There'd be a fair bit of money tied up in futures betting and multis with him
Captain
when
Ravishing
he was.
winning.
Yeah. So I wonder whether some of that inward movement will be offsetting some of that liability.
It was $1.60 to win this race the morning of the Chariots of Fire.
Yeah, well, there you go.
and is now at $4.50, well, $5 yesterday. Bruce, the very fact that we're just one example of these type of conversations happening. You must be going, bring it on. More of this. Keep talking about my race.
It's a great betting race.
Yep.
And that's that, and it's also has the potential for a great speed race. So with the way the barrier draw fell, so both of those things, yes, from our point of view, are the sorts of things this race is about speed. That's the way it was built in the first place by Len Smith all those years ago, and that's the way we like to push it. And with $1 million prize money pool there, people are going to race the race that needs to be done to try and win that money. Now, that doesn't always mean speed.
No.
The way things have been drawn here, you would certainly think it is going to, because that race for the lead is going to be quick. And as you've already highlighted, there's a couple of horses there with really sustained sprints where you would think the opportunity for a real quick Miracle Mile is there with this field.
Make an argument.
There's going to have to be a lot of moves too. Like as when you look at where these horses are drawn, and as you say, you look at the three outside horses. You don't think it's going to be a case of like we saw in the first sprint on Saturday night.
No,
I don't think we'll see anything.
I don't think they'll let Jack get away with that.
So
they won't let anyone get away with that. Not the Miracle Mile.
You know, and you can make a case for and against every single horse in the field, and so it should be. A horse of this magnitude, of this calibre of horse, you know, it should be fantastic. Now, I guess final question before you go: Have you got your people to talk to Mr. Weather God's people and make sure that we're all good for Saturday?
We were laughing about it this morning because we had a look at it this morning. We looked at 3 different sites with 3 different forecasts for there. And I wouldn't say it's looking fantastic, but it's not looking terrible either. Yeah. So probably we're sitting at about a 30% chance of rain. Was
high 20s.
About 26, 27 degrees. So temperature-wise, that's great. That's we know it can be quite extreme out here, and whatever it is, whether it's lightning, whether it's temperature or wind or whatever it may be, we get the extremes. But yeah, so 26, 27 is great. It has improved the last 2 days, the forecast, so let's hope that continues on. We start to look fairly seriously at it about Thursdays, when we start to really sort of, I suppose, start to look at, okay, what contingency plans should we have depending on what that forecast may be. But I still think they just spin a chocolate wheel early in the week to come up with what the forecast is.
They say weather forecasters are never wrong, they just get the days mixed up.
Yesterday, we sat down yesterday and I did the unthinkable and said it's hot, it's warm, it's beautiful, it's going to be fantastic, it's going to be fast racing. Last night I drove home in torrential rain. So, my fault. Sorry, everyone. Bruce, thanks for your time. I know you're busy. I know you got a performance review on Jess to do as soon as you walk away from here.
She's getting paid by the hour. We're in trouble because she's certainly clocked up some hours in the last couple of weeks.
And we've already blown out time on this podcast already. So he's costing you every time we hang on. But thanks for your time. I know you got a huge week. You guys do it better than anyone in the country when it comes to putting on these carnival meets. Wish you the best of luck with Miracle Mile Night Saturday night.
Right, thanks for that, and thanks for having me today.
Good on you.
Good luck.
All right. Let's get into the other racing, guys. Well, Bruce sort of takes exit left, and good to have the boss in here, Jess.
Yeah, very nice to have the boss in here.
Beautiful. Hey, obviously Miracle Mile qualifiers were one part of the racing. The racing that we saw on Saturday night, Fred, but Windy Hill Tara won the Oaks. I don't think I've seen a race change complexion like that one did. We had Kalua Flyby and Peaceful in this battle that looked like a 2-horse race, and then suddenly they just folded back and everything else come through, and out of the pack is the Queen of Bathurst, the Man of Turnbull, and Windy Hill Tara. It was sensational.
Real rough result, wasn't it? The first 4 placings, all roughies, and this filly, she's probably flown under the radar, Windy Hill Tara. The way she savaged the line, Amanda, she was wrapped. She a little bit excited, which you don't.
Very rare,
it's
wasn't
rare
it,
for
to
Amanda
see
to show that emotion because she's so, her game face and her professionalism, it's just always, never lets her guard down, and a little salute,
salute?
which you just don't get from
Fantastic.
Amanda. And winning, of course, for Dad Steve, that would have had another, element to it as well. But big effort by her. Soho Seraphine got off the inside and attacked the line, and a couple of other roughies filling the minors. It was just a real rough result. And as you say, the favourites, they just, I didn't expect Kalua Flyby to drop out the way. I thought, it really did. Yeah. Peaceful had the real tough run, and you kind of had an expectation that was too tall a task after that run. But I was a bit shocked about Kalua Flyby the way she dropped out.
Yeah.
And I thought Windy Hill Tara, when you look back on her second placing in the Oaks heat, the riding was a bit on the wall there, even though we couldn't look past Kalua Flyby and Peaceful. But she definitely, Windy Hill Tara, went fantastic in those heats the way she got home, and she performed exactly the same on Saturday.
Yeah, and a quick word on Amanda Turnbull. Fantastic she's picked up the drive on Hurricane Harley in the Miracle Mile. We said on Sunday, just feels right that there's a Turnbull in the Miracle Mile. Just feels
absolutely
right. So well done, Amanda, and best of luck. And she had a good night. She also won the Lady Drivers Invitational for Kerry Ann Morris on Port-au-Prince as well. So, yeah, great night for Amanda. It's great to see her come to town and do so well, because she is an absolute weapon on the track. We had the pink bonnet as well, beautifully bred, Luxa Turner. Went round at $1.45, and the margin I don't think the margin does this domination justice, because Luxa Turner had this race signed up very early and just was so far in front. And, the margin reduced slightly as it got closer to the line, but Ricky Elchin's got a real good one on his hands here.
That he does. And it was a very confident drive by Rick, I thought. And I heard him in an interview with Paul Campbell after the race say this was a race that the Lespina family really wanted to win for quite a while, and they got that done. And like you said, Luxa Turner, very well bred. I think it's from the same family of Ricky's good horses that have since moved on to America.
Big run, the second horse. I know it was never going to catch Luxa Turner, and as you say, Ricky sent Luxa Turner away on the turn, 20, 25 metres in a flash. It was just a blinding turn of foot. But Remy Lou was wide, came from a minute back, and I thought it was a run where it had a flashing light saying, be on me next time, be on me in other races, because it's going to be one that's worth following.
Yeah, good race, that one. I'll tell you what, I'll be keeping an eye for Luxa Turner when we get to the Gold Crown Carnival too. I think Luxa Turner's going to be really prominent through that. Our Money Rocks. We talked about our Money Rocks last week. That's 5 in a row now since this horse has gone over to David Thorne. Chris Geary's had 4 of those 5 drives. That's $54,000 this horse has clocked up just this year alone. What a great return for owners.
It's one of those sayings, isn't it, Jess? The more they win, the better the price. And that's how it's been with this horse. I'm thrilled to see the horse go well for Chris, for David, and Mitch Lanigan. He's been an owner of Thorny's.
Very long time.
I'm just trying to think. Outrageous Cell springs to mind as one of the good horses. Long-term client, and they're having great success.
Interesting to see how he goes up as he gets into a bit of a tougher race again this Saturday.
Tough race tonight.
It's a tough race.
On Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a tough race. But, taking a 5-lead picket fence into that race, I'd be writing off our Money Rocks at your peril, because you keep getting a price and just keeps delivering. So, and obviously we had the heats of the Derby. So we've got a Group 1, the New South Wales Derby this weekend. The heats are really interesting. Alta Meteor for the Telfers and Tim Williams obviously came back after probably the disappointment of Kalua Flyby and came out and won well with Alta Meteor. Catalpa Rescue for Shane and Ryan Sanderson. And Naturally Gifted for Wayne Dimmick and Cameron Hart. Beat Better Be the Best, which was a bit of a turn-up.
Yeah, that last race was definitely an interesting one tactic-wise when David Moran elected to hold the lead. But Naturally Gifted, he's been a classy performer throughout his 2-year-old season. So I wasn't shocked to see him in the winner's circle.
A little birdie tells me that you were tipping it to all and sundry in the media room. Now, obviously my phone number, you didn't have my phone number and didn't let me in on it. 80 to 1.
$81.
Yeah.
80 to 1.
I've followed it for quite some time. He's really impressed me, and good to see him get a nice win in the heat, and hopefully he can go all the way in the final.
Sets it up for a wonderful final this Saturday night, guys. All right, Cameron Hart, we've talked about him a little bit. He was a journeyman this week. Bit out of character for Cam. Actually, we normally just see him at headquarters, and he gets enough drives and enough really good drives. He doesn't necessarily need to do the travel miles. But he had a double at Menangle on Tuesday, including the Black Prince, which is one that we were excited about seeing in last week's show. And just got home. Like it was a post-it note margin in that one, but just got home for the Black Prince. Well done to Roy Roots and Paul Borg and everyone involved in that horse. Great to see the Black Prince continuing to churn out some wins as he gets into the twilight of his career. Cam then went to Bathurst, which was unusual, on Wednesday. Jack Traynor engaged him for a couple of drives. He had a treble there, including... Now, how does Cam have an 80 to 1 shot go around at Bathurst?
Well, he had an 80 to 1 shot win on Saturday. He's
That's
the king of 80 to 1 shots.
So that was with Timely Sovereign for Leon Jerd. So the punters, you see Cameron Hart at Bathurst on a Wednesday night, you probably want to take a little bit more notice than letting him go around at $81. Or maybe some people did get a piece of it and they're very happy he went around at $81.
Bit of a fun fact on Cam as well. Last Tuesday, he drove his 800th winner here on a horse trained by Shane Sanderson. Interestingly enough, he actually drove his 700th winner on Timely Sovereign when he was trained by Shane Sanderson, who he then went on to win at Bathurst at those big odds. So, bit of an interesting fun fact.
Good little get from you, Jess. That's excellent. Chris Geary had a good week. We mentioned Chris before, but he had a double at Penrith on Thursday. Bookended that program, actually, so he had a real good week. Kevy Pizzuto, the bro, he won races 2 and 3 on that Penrith card. Good to give our trainers a bit of a rap. I know we talk about drivers a lot. Well done, Kevy. Jack Callaghan, double at Newcastle on Friday. Now, he drove a winner for Grace Harmey. That's her first of the year. She had a winner last year as well, and there hasn't been too many winners in Grace's training career. So, well done. That's her first for the year. Clayton Harmey, he had a training double at Newcastle. Blake Hughes and Will Rickson both featured in winners there. So they both had doubles at Newcastle. Grace Pinella. Now, she went out to Armidale, on the weekend. They had their Carnival of Cups meeting. Grace won the feature with Master Catch for Lisa McDonald. Now, we talked about Got a Shop early.
Yes.
Just missed out. Ran second in the grand finale on the career.
He had to run 1-2 to earn enough prize money to take his stakes earnings over $200,000, and he ran second. So he's got I think it's $200,647. It's something over, but I know the connections. Richard and the team, they were hoping he'd get over the 200. He had to run 1-2. He did it.
So well done. Enjoy retirement, big fella. Got a shop early. Stylish Memphis is one that's called Stumps as well. A little comment. It's just been such a pleasure to call, but to be trackside so often, Jess.
Yeah, to see her race, she really has been an incredible mare, and to win 2-1 was a ladyship mile, then the Queen Elizabeth II mile. That's an incredible feat, and she joins an elite list there, so well done to her on a fabulous career, and I'm sure she's going to go on to produce, hopefully, some more superstars.
Captain Treacherous,
Yeah.
Isn't that going to fetch a pretty penny if it goes to market?
Yeah, won't it? All right, obviously there was a 6-race card there at Armidale on Sunday. Andrew Ison, he trained 3 of the 6 winners. The Isons are very prominent. Molly drove one of them, Tommy drove 2, so great day out for the Isons. Parks on Friday night. We had Mitchie Turnbull drove a double there. Damon Watson double at Temora on Tuesday night. There was a treble at Temora for Blake Jones. Now, a comment on the Blake Jones Ellen Bartley set up. So Ellen at our awards won the Drive of the Year, Jess. So it happened late in the year. I think it might have even been New Year's Eve.
It was late December.
Get an entry in, but won the Kevin Newman Award for Drive of the Year at the awards. So well done to Ellen. The drive got shown on the big screen in the room, and she got a round of applause, a belated round of applause for a race that happened back in December. So well done to Ellen.
# Riverina form.
Yeah, exactly right.
She's the trainer. Blake gets all the drives. Maybe there might be a little conversation going on. Hang on, I'm the one who won Drive of the Year.
Award-winning driver now. Yes.
Yep. So well done, guys. It was great to see them make the trip here as well. That's a real good effort for people from all over the state to have made the effort to be in the room. Great to see Ellen and Blake there on Sunday afternoon. So, yeah, she won the Kevin Newman Award. Brad Hewitt, he had a great day at Wagga on Friday, treble for that. And not unusual that we see Brad Hewitt turn up and do so well. And we raced at Broken Hill on Saturday. Their Carnival of Cups meeting isn't far away. Andrew Voslick, so there was 5 races on that card. He drove through them. So not a bad return.
Well done, Andrew. Wonderful night out.
60% of the card. Jess, we had a pretty good day it was the Harness Racing New South Wales Industry Awards and the Club Menangle Awards on Sunday. We saw King of Swing win Horse of the Year. Probably not a surprise. It ended up coming down. So Jewel Melody was the 2-year-old of the year. Rip was a 3-year-old of the year. So a wonderful return for
The Hewitt
Wayne
stable.
Wayne and Julie
Wayne
Loader,
Julie.
and obviously
Yep.
Bernie Hewitt. Dougie takes the drive on Rip. So they were the 2 and 3 year old, and King of Swing was the age horse of the year. So it came down to those three. King of Swing got the vote. So yeah, wonderful little. It's not a posthumous tribute because the horse is still kicking around, but nice little tribute in retirement.
Post race, yeah.
Yeah.
A nice accolade, another accolade that he adds to his marvellous career. And yeah, it was great to see Bindi and Luke there accepting the awards. And King, you know, he's been the star of their stable for many years now, but now he's turned his attention to the breeding barn. And no doubt as we start to see his first crop hit the racetrack in years to come, there'll hopefully be another star in there too.
Yep, so Belinda McCarthy won the First Lady Award for her performances
Club
here.
Menangle.
Obviously, Club Menangle had your awards. Will Rixon was awarded.
Will,
so
a very deserving winner, and it was great to see him in his acceptance speech credit his parents, Cindy and Peter Rixon, as well, for their efforts in the industry and for how he's been brought up around the sport and what he's learnt from them. So that was just fantastic.
It was just a really nice vibe in the room, wasn't it? You know, people made an effort. You know, like I said, the people travelled. There was people that came from far. People got dressed up. It was a nice afternoon. It was
a very nice afternoon. Good to see some participants letting their hair down. And, of course, it's been such a big few weeks here at Menangle and in Sydney. So it was nice to see them have a bit of a relaxing afternoon before it's all business ahead this week with the yearling sales and also Miracle Mile Night.
Exactly. Now, we had another special guest in the room. The CEO of Harness Racing Australia, Andrew Kelly, was there. And this was a little bit of a shock to some people. Now, Andrew was there on special business. He got up, and Ken Brown, our chairman of Harness Racing New South Wales, and Andrew Kelly got up to bestow a very special award. Now, I can tell you this caught the recipient unawares, and this man knows everything about that goes on in the state, and he certainly knew everything that was going on about the awards. Not this one.
No.
So the JP Stratton Award. Now, this is a really special award. It's the JP Stratton Gold Award. It was awarded to my boss and the CEO of Harness Racing New South Wales, John Dumacy. This is so special. It came into being in 1976. It's only ever been awarded 22 times. So it's not like it's an annual thing and they choose someone. You have to really excel in your contribution to the sport. So 35-year contribution, and we know that John's contributed to the harness racing industry for a lot longer than that, but it's been defined as 35 years. It's been his life, his whole family's life.
The family,
really humbling moment for the boss. He was very happy. He got up and accepted a few awards on behalf of other people, so he's a regular. He was clocking up the case.
He definitely was.
He was very humbled by it. I thought we might have even seen a tear from the big fellow there at one point. He was pretty happy and certainly very chuffed, but well deserved.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Certainly rolls up the sleeves and gets the business done for the industry and works on behalf of all our stakeholders and our participants. So special award. Great to see Andrew Kelly in the room and get to see the best state in Australia when it comes to harness racing deliver on the big stage.
That's right, exactly.
So the awards were great. Club Menangle obviously did a great job as well. So, and Bruce talked a little bit about the country club. That's where we had it. What a set! Like just a wonderful establishment. If you're looking for somewhere to have your wedding or your whatever, that's the place because it is class 101. It's beautiful. Food was great.
It's just beautiful. It's such a beautiful setup out there in the manor, and it definitely was enjoyed on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's the best thing you saw this week, guys?
Yeah, for me, it was the dominance of females that made it into the Miracle Mile field. So I think we saw there Emma Stewart. She has qualified 4 runners. Belinda McCarthy has 2 runners plus the emergency, and Kate Gath and Amanda Turnbull both to take the reins behind 2 runners. So especially with Team Till at the moment, and we're donating here at Club Menangle, same with Harness Racing New South Wales for training and driving wins. Hopefully they'll be able to land the prize in the big one. It will.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Like out of the 8 horses that are likely to be the starters, 6 of them are the Stewart or the McCarthy stable.
Incredible. And we've seen that as well back from the Interdominion too, where Jess Tubbs was also in that Interdominion field. The dominance of the females, it's just incredible. And I know that here in harness racing, we're so great at competing on an even playing field, and that'll really be displayed there on Saturday night. Yeah,
and great to see, as we said before, great to see Amanda Turnbull join the driving ranks for that race as well. So good luck, Amanda and Kate Gath, taking steers in that race. Yeah, what about you, Freddie?
I've really enjoyed the, return to form, the resurgence of form for our Money Rocks. had a few homes throughout the career. I think Jason Grimson won 6 races with him going way back. Adam Kelly won a race with him. Grant Fuller won about 5 or 6 races with him. Now he's gone to Thorney, and this season has won 5 from 5, just been dominating. As we alluded, a very tough task coming up on Saturday in a race that is, I guess, a consolation to the free-for-all in many ways. Some of the horses that are going around in that race, he's going to really know he's in a race, and it'll be a good gauge for Thorney to see where the horse is at. But I'm not sure he can make it 6 straight based on the calibre of horse he's racing. But if you base it on form and barrier, you'd go worse than have a tote ticket on him to maybe place in that race because he's racing well. It's good to see him bounce back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I can't go past the hype that's building up around this race and just seeing stories pop up in the paper. You can search harness racing and, you're getting content come out of our state at the moment. That's what I love about this time of year. It's just, fantastic. But the other thing is our podcast, Jess. So we're expanding. So we want to just give a little bit of detail around, because you would have seen, hopefully you've seen some sort of more content popping up. So you and I sat right here where we are last week, and we had Greek Sugars where Freddie is. Gee, you've changed, Fred.
Yeah, I've aged and I'm not as good looking, but anyway.
So we had Greek
G'day
Sugars
to you, Greg.
for a great chat. We're going to do more of that this week. Obviously, we recorded a show live from the awards, and you were running around helping us get people. Amanda and I spoke to key participants in the race. Wano gave up his time to talk through the process and took us inside the boardroom and the decision making. And this week, what you're going to hear is, and we had the first of a special series talking to the breeders. So we spoke to Mark Barton from Nutrient Equine yesterday, and he talked about the process of putting together the yearling sales. And over the next 4 days, you're going to hear from several of our leading stud setups and the yearlings that they've got prepped to go to the sales. They do such a wonderful job. And I think if you go into the sales and you're going to buy a horse, it's great to know what was the infancy of that horse and how's it been treated and what was the love and care and attention to detail that was put into that horse. And that's the story that we're trying to extract. We recorded a couple of them yesterday and we're going to roll them out. They're really, really cool sort of stories from people that we don't always hear from. But without them, well, we don't have an industry. That's the reality of it. So they're doing such great work. And so you're going to see a lot more content of the Sprint Lane. But this Tuesday live show, as is, and this is where we started. This is the bit that you'll see live stream on camera through the Facebook. I know a lot of people like to consume our show through the Facebook platform, and that's great. If you do, hey, don't be shy to get on the comments and send us some questions, because we always try and have that fourth person among 3 of us and a guest. And if you've got a question for our guest or even for us, throw the question out there on the platform and engage with us, because that's the idea of the Facebook setup. But what I will say this, we're going to pump out a lot more content, but we need you to vote with your feet. Please get on and subscribe, like us, leave positive reviews, those things, because that speaks volumes when it comes to decision making around us as employees of various organisations giving up our time and making us available, and how people want to continue to support this program. So please get around it, but please share it, because the more we grow it, the more we can continue to just bring out great content for you. So that's the idea. So that's the little update with the Sprint Lane. We're excited. As you said, it's one of the highlights of our week among the 3 of us to be able to get together and just talk about a sport that we love. So, yeah it's good fun, isn't it? Yep.
Like, tag, follow, give us a review. That's it.
Exactly. All right, guys, we had the highest round of fantasy harness racing points accrued last week. Probably not a great deal of surprise, because there was extra triple points value up for grabs, but usual suspect, and particularly here in the metropolitan region where those points were accrued. Cameron Hart, the first driver to get 100 points for the season in a round. So well done, Cam. He went straight past it, actually. He was saluting his bat to the members stand there and early on. So 112 points for Cam. Jack Callaghan had a great week with 80 points, but we saw people like Chris Geary and Will Rickson do really well. Amanda Turnbull with a triple point score did really well. So how'd you go?
Yeah, I had both Cam and Amanda in my team. I thought I would have gone better than what I did, but I'm sitting now low 400, so that's worse than in weeks gone past. But we start again this week very shortly.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's something worth noting. I know
Yes.
we're going live, and those watching on the live stream will get this, and those that listen later probably might miss out. But there is a earlier than normal cut-off for trades in your fantasy team.
Yep.
Paul?
Yeah, so there's a countdown clock on the platform. It is counting down to 1 o'clock, and it won't change. So, it will continue to count down towards 1 o'clock, but please know the game will lock out at 12:30, and that clock is going to be deceiving and confusing for some people. So it is 12:30, it will lock out. We've put that message out on our social media. There's an alert on the platform at the moment. So if you plan on making trades and you haven't already done so, you have to do it by 12:30 because it will lock you out. Look, if you don't make trades, your team's going to still be there. But 12:30 is when you need to do it. So get in and do that. And the reason being is because we've got 10 races here at Menangle this afternoon. The first race at 12:48.
Yeah.
So obviously the game needs to lock out in time for that first race to accrue points. But it's going well. I had an okay week. I actually climbed a little bit back up to 20th.
You're in top
overall.
20, aren't you?
Nice.
You've made
Very
top.
well.
I'm lurking. I just can't get past. I can't break into the top 100. 124th at the moment. But I have loaded my team, my Metro team. I've nearly got $4 or $5 million, value drivers.
Yep.
How
very Sydney.
to do that, but
Yeah,
again,
you kinda have
you've
to at
got
this
to
time, don't
because
you?
you look
That's
at
where
the
the points
drivers
are.
that are going to. You've got most of them will drive at the Metros,
Yep.
but then you've got Will Rickson has been getting around, Jack Callaghan, Robert Morris. They're all taking drives at the other meetings. It's at the expense. I've really gone light on some of my other areas, like the Hunter and the Riverina, with some drivers that have been earning good points, but their dollar value is way down, and that's how I was able to load up the Metro.
So a mate and I were having a bit of a debate or conversation and trying to nut this one out yesterday.
Yeah.
So let's say we've got the Trotters race,
Yes.
Group 1 Trotters race on Saturday night. Greg Sugars has got the Inter Dominion champion in that. Potentially could be a 30-point
30-pointer.
Correct.
get for Greg Sugars. He'll have better Eclipse in
The
one of
light
the other
horse,
Yep.
free
Horse,
for all.
in the
yeah.
free for all, so which is a double points race, and he's got another drive as well. So let's say there's a little bit of a point score going on there. He's got 3 drives for the week. Is he a better option than say Will Rickson, who's got 8 drives that we've noticed?
Yep.
That's what you've got to do the sums,
do
don't
the-
you?
you've gotta
And
do the sums.
that's the beauty of the game. You do those sums and say, well, because Greg Sugars is $100,000 dearer than Will Rickson on the platform. So they're the conversations that make this game so intriguing, and that's what's been a lot of fun about it. But that's the debate that we kind of had for about 20 minutes yesterday. Or who's the better option? There. So plenty of options there. The beauty is all those interstate drivers got added last week. So you might say, well, I think Catchawave's going to win the Miracle Mile, so I'm going to get Kate Gath in my team. That might be the discussion that you have. So, and say, well, there's 30 points, and that might be 30 points better than I'm going to get by bringing someone else in. I bought Jack Trainer in last week, and he got me 21 points.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yep.
that's the beauty of the unknown and the gamble that you take, by purely having a go at the game. So, all right, guys, we're starting to run out of time, but yearling sales this week, it's so important. We've already touched on it slightly, but the yearling sales, they are on at the Inglis Riverside Stables at Warwick Farm. Now, there's a parade at 5 o'clock on Friday evening, so let's hope the weather stays good, because there's no better place in the world than Sydney on a beautiful late February night at 5 o'clock, a twilight event. It's fantastic. The auction starts at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Now, on Saturday, there's a inspection day. So, speaking of Nutrien yesterday, they'll have vets on site, and you can do your due diligence on any horses that you're interested in. One thing they did say, though, is register on the auction platform and register with Nutrien just to establish that line of credit that's required, because they said the last thing we want is people being at the sales and they spend all day doing all that admin stuff. They want them looking at horses. That's what people go to these things for. So, do yourself a favour and get in early and do the line of credit and and you can bid on horses remotely. So that's where, if you register for the auction platform, that'll solve that. But yeah, looking through the book, there's 235 yearlings up for grabs. Impeccable breeding, all of them. And as I started to realise yesterday, talking to some of the breeders, just the love and care and attention to detail is second to none. Almost they're like surrogate parents, and they're having to part with these horses that they've nurtured, and suddenly they're putting them on a truck and saying,
How many are you buying?
Oh,
How many do you want to buy?
235. Yeah.
just a Miracle Mile winner.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
See what we can do.
too
But,
much.
what we found fascinating, Amanda and I spoke to some of them, and we said, there's all these horses that are just a number right now. These are the horses that we're going to be talking about on things like the Sprint Lane podcast
Exactly right.
in just over a year's time around the Breeders' Challenge Series. How cool is that? They don't have a name yet. They're just a number right now, but, it'd be nice to look back and say, well, which one was that? Did we? Yeah, so that's the beauty of our game, but get around it and support it, because without it, that's our heartbeat of the industry. That's the infancy point. We need to support that. All right, 10 races today, Fred. 12:48 is the first. So it's a big card. You're not calling
today. I'm back to normal next week, but it's a great card. But what about that last race? Yeah. It's just a sensational race. Elder Orlando, Bundoor, and I mean these are horses that you expect pump the brakes. They're
Too fast,
Saturday,
too serious.
Yeah, Saturday class horses. Obviously, with the carnival in full swing, they missed a run on Saturday just gone. But so that means we've seen Elder Orlando 2 weeks ago. Last week it was the Black Prince and Elder Orlando, Bundoor, and Too Fast, Too Serious, etc. Firefox is a really good race that last one.
I reckon Darren Binscombe might have Alpine Stride fired up for that one.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Spell. So,
yeah.
all right.
Black Booker.
So your horse to follow.
Well, that's not my go.
Okay.
The Black
No.
Booker.
I understand.
We'll get to that in a minute. But 10 races this afternoon. So Jess, you'll be out on track for that. June East tonight, Bathurst Wednesday. We've got Tamworth and Penrith on Thursday. Friday's huge once again. Wagga, Dubbo and Newcastle. And then we've got Newcastle and Canberra on Friday as well. So, huge, sort of 7 days of racing. And in between that, of course, we've got the Miracle Mile Carnival, 3 Group 1s. Should be fantastic. Now, if you can't be on track, and that's disappointing if you can't be here, because you'd have a great night if you could make it to track, because you're going to see and hear the beautiful sounds, and there's going to be food and entertainment and all that jazz, Jess. If you can't, the second best seat in the house is going to be Sky Thoroughbred Central. So wall-to-wall coverage of the whole event, all-star cast bringing you the action, access to the stables, the track, the analysis, all the backstory, all in HD. It's going to be fantastic on Sky Thoroughbred Central. So it'll be really good. And you'll hear Freddie's call.
Yep.
Excited, mate? You must be pumped.
Always. Yeah, look, it's an incredible time of the year, and as a race broadcaster, and it doesn't matter what code you're covering, these are the races you really get up for, and you just don't want to stuff it up. You just want to get it right, nail it, and go home, have a scotch at the end of the night and say, that went all right, which is what I generally do. So look forward to it.
You will nail it. You're the best in the business. Righto. What are we black booking?
Seeing we're running late, Jess.
You go.
No, you go.
Take it away.
We're going to save time. Jess is going to explain our black booker.
You got one to watch.
We just couldn't split.
Yeah,
right.
So we have picked the same black booker. Coincidentally, it's BD Joe. He was absolutely enormous in the sprint qualifier on Saturday that Spirit of St. Louis took out, of course. The race was just run far too slow for anything to even make a move to get into it. So we think BD Joe this week in the light horse.
His run home was quick as
sections are unbelievable.
his sectional was off the chart.
28-1, 25-5 in that
a little bit
final
luckless.
quarter.
And nowhere to real go. Because we're in concert there.
Luckless at Newcastle.
I think
in that Newcastle.
Just didn't
he
like the
wasn't
track.
comfortable
No,
at
didn't
all
like
there
the-
at Newcastle. I
This
think
is
he
his
was
go.
hitting the wheels. This Menangle track suits him down to the ground, and the draw's definitely in his favour this Saturday night.
Yeah, all right. One to keep an eye on, because Jess is due.
I'm definitely
That's why I'm jumping
due.
on the bandwagon. She tipped an 80-1 winner the other day, and I thought, whatever, I'm going. No, we actually have this little joke about what's your black booker, and the amount of times we both come up with the same, and one of us changes. But today I said, no, I'm sticking, you stick.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, good show today, guys. This is different. We haven't stood for a show, and we've been doing this for 20-something episodes now, and we haven't
My
stood
little
for a
legs
show.
are
So
tired.
here we are, and you're coming off a bad Gary
Long
Jack
spell.
too. So
Yeah, the Gary Jack's all right at the moment.
Yep,
So,
all right.
the Gary Ablets
Huge-
have been working.
Yes.
Stop.
So huge week ahead. Can't wait to see it all unfold. Jess, good luck with what you're going to do with Club Menangle. I know you're going to be super busy. Freddie, you'll nail the call, mate. No doubt. Can't wait to hear you lay the soundtrack to what I think is going to be an epic edition of the Great Race, the Miracle Mile. The field is there. All the publicity's in full swing. Hopefully the weather gods are helping us out. The hype is certainly there. Let's just race. Can't wait. Let's hope they all get around in one piece and we're all good and we just have one of the most memorable nights of racing here at this track that I have no doubt it will deliver. So
look forward to it.
Can't wait.
Guys, we'll be back next week. We don't know whether we'll be sitting, standing. We don't know where we'll be, what room, but that's the beauty of the sprint lane. But hey, as I said, you're going to see plenty of content pop up on your podcast platform, but the live show every Tuesday at 11 o'clock you'll see us, and we can't wait to continue to bring you some laughs and banter around our great sport. So if you can, give us a like, follow, share, tell everyone about it if you can. We love doing this for you, and that will just help us out immensely. Guys, have a great week.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
See ya.